What's going on, Vintage World? My name is Marcus. I'm the owner and founder of Vintage Vibes Studios. In today's video, I'm going to show you 5 techniques that every graphic designer should know and master. Here we go. So the first technique I want to show you is halftoning. Halftoning is really great when you want to soften an image, and it'll make a little bit more sense once we get into the details of how you do it. So let's jump into my computer and let me walk you through that. Got my image up. I'm going to copy that design, Command-Control-J. I'm going to hide this bottom layer, and then we're going to make this top layer into a smart object. And once we do that, I want to double click into that thumbnail, and that's going to bring up the design in its own document. So now that we've got that, the next thing I want to do is come up to image, go to mode, and then grayscale. We want to take all the color basically out of this image and make it as black and white and gray as possible. And that's important, so I'll show you here in just a second why the gray is, or the midtones, are so important. While we've got this in our grayscale, I'm going to bring up my levels, Command-Control-L, and I'm going to kind of bring in my shadows, boost my midtones a little bit so I can get some gray in there, and then bring up my highlights just a tad. The gray that you see in the image or in the graphic design, what have you, the gray is going to be what's halftone. And halftoning, like I said, is just making little dots in the image, and the purpose behind that is so you don't have a huge block on your shirt, on your substrate, whatever it is. That's going to make a much softer hand feel on the garment, as opposed to just having a bunch of ink, plastisol, what have you, on the garment, right? I'm going to try to get a little more gray in here. Every document is going to be a little bit different, so this looks all right for me. I'll go ahead and click OK. We'll come back to image, mode, and then bitmap. Gonna flatten that image. I want 300 DPI, and I'm gonna go halftone screen. Now you can try your dither tones and all of that if you want to, but for halftone specifically, you want to click on halftone screen and then click OK. I'm gonna go with 26 on my frequency, 32 on my angle, and then I want to change my shape from diamond to ellipse. I'm going to click OK, and this is going to be my halftone. So let's get you in close here. This is going to be my halftone. So you're like, Mark, okay, I get it, that's cool, but how does that register for what I want to do? Glad you asked. Let me show you. We're going to copy this, Command-Control-A to grab everything, Command-Control-C to copy. Going to close out of this document, save it, and then we're going to come back to our original document. Going to go ahead and hide this, grab this bottom document, create a layer mask. We're going to alt click into that layer mask, and that should bring up a whole white screen, right? Now that we've done that, we're going to paste what we just copied from the previous document, paste that in there, and then we're going to go ahead and click outside of that document. Now this is your halftone. This will be the transfer that you have. Once you send it off to print, this will be what it looks like. So this is going to be the only thing that prints. You can see all the little dots in there. That's what's going to make it a much softer feel when you go to send this off to print. To see what it looks like on a garment or a shirt or whatnot, we're going to go ahead and go to this little icon down here, adjustment layer, scroll all the way down to the bottom, solid color, we're going to pick black, and then bring that underneath. So this is what your actual shirt would look like. Now remember, everything that you see that's dark is actually shirt, and makes that a much softer feel on your garment. On to number 2. Technique number 2 is distressing. Distressing leaves, first off, a nice vintage feel to it, but it also gives a softer handprint, because your background or whatever color shirt you're using is going to show through and not have just this big, huge, blocky design on your shirt. Let's go ahead and get into this. I've got this design up here of David Bowie that I did. So here's all of my layers. Once you've got all your layers together, we're gonna go ahead and group all of those layers together. The next thing you wanna do is, you guessed it, create a layer mask, and then you wanna find yourself a nice high res quality texture. Doesn't matter what you're going to use. We're going to alt click into that layer mask, then we're going to paste, and once you've done that, you can alt click or click out of that layer mask, and there's your distressing. I won't get too much into the weeds on how to create distressing. If you want me to create a video on that, let me know in the comments and just say distressing, and I'll go ahead and create that video. It's super simple, only takes a couple of steps, really easy. On to step number 3. Number 3 is pattern overlays, textures or pattern overlays. So pattern overlays are really nice when you want to add some depth or some character to your design. Let's say you've got some typography, which we're going to touch on a little bit later, and you want to add a little bit of character to that typography. So let's go ahead and get into my design. And if you look really close, there is some texture or some pattern overlays that I put into my typography. The easiest way to do that is, once you have your design all laid out, go into your layer. So we'll double click into this layer. So if you come over here, you can see that there's a pattern overlay. So we'll click on that. And this is the pattern that I used for my typography. If you hit the drop down menu, there's a ton of stuff that is already by default in Photoshop. If you're looking for extra pattern overlays or patterns in general, you can go on over to Vintage Vibes Studios, and there's a ton that I've already done for you. Also, if you're looking to start your graphic design journey, I've got a free Vintage Vibes starter pack that has tons of stuff in it, from textiles to patterns to textures, and a bunch of design resources already there for you. It's absolutely free to help you start and navigate on the journey. It'll cut out a lot of the guesswork and how to get the stuff and where to find things. So I know, shameless plug, Photoshop has already got a ton of stuff already in there, and all you have to do is click on it and it'll show up in your typography or wherever it is you want to put it. On to step number 4. All right, step number 4 is color fading or gradient maps or gradient overlays. Super simple and super effective when it comes to adding depth to your design. I've got my design up here, and all I'm going to do is start a color at the top and gradually fade it to the bottom. It could be blue to white, whatever your color scheme or color pattern is. It really doesn't matter, as long as it smoothly fades from top to bottom or left to right, however it is that you want to do it. What I'm going to do is come over to my layer, double click on my layer, open up my color overlay or my gradient overlay, and as you can see, it already starts to change at the bottom. That's because over here at the top, I've got my gradient map from dark or black to transparent. And if you click on this drop down arrow over here, Photoshop makes it easy. If there's a ton of them already in here that you can click on, it goes from purple to light blue. We'll go down to my earth tones. So right now you see that it's predominantly white and the colors are all at the bottom. Let me show you how to fix that. So your scale is going to determine how much of your gradient overlay is shown. So what I like to do is have it right around 100, and then I can kind of change by clicking on the actual graphic design itself. I can change where my gradient map kind of starts and where it ends. So if I want that black to be a little more at the bottom versus in the middle or wherever, I can go ahead and with my arrow key, or not arrow keys, with my mouse, I can kind of move those up and down. Let's say you didn't want your gradient maps to be the way that they are right now. An easy fix for that is to simply click into your gradient map, and you can move these color stoppers left or right, or if you go ahead and pull down on your mouse, you can actually get rid of that color stopper altogether, right? So let's say we wanted a lot more green and maybe not as much yellow, and we're gonna pull this over to get a lot more white. It definitely changes the color scheme of your gradient map. If you find something like I've normally done by accident, I've messed around with stuff and then, oh man, that's super dope, I like that. You can go ahead and save that by coming over here, hitting new, and then going up here, and now you see that this is at the bottom here as a whole new gradient map. Tons of different things to do with gradient maps, and a bunch of different ways to like use them to help your graphic design kind of stand out and give it a little depth. On to technique number 5. All right, number 5 is typography. Typography is how you basically relate what it is that's said on the shirt to the end user and the feel. Let's say it could be through the type of font that you're using. Let's say you're using a font that's from the 80s. It would be weird to have an 80s font or an 80s hip hop font on a pop design, or a font that would be used for cars on a hip hop design. It doesn't really translate well. What you have as far as fonts and the way that it's placed on the design can be a make or break deal. Let's go ahead and jump into this design that I did. You can see that I'm using an Action and a Latin wide font. Both pair well together and it's easily read. Your hierarchy and how you place your font or your text or typography that you're using can make or break your design. Check out the video that I did on typography and fonts and how to pair them well together. I think I linked it like one of these two places. Typography for me is probably the most difficult thing that I struggle with, and font pairing. That's why I've made a video on it. Check that out. It makes things a lot easier in knowing where to get them, to pair them together, what looks good together. I'll link it in the video as well as in the description. If you're doing a design that has a lot of words in it, you want to kind of reverse engineer it and think, how am I going to display this and what am I trying to convey to the reader or the end user? That means the person that's going to be looking at the shirt or wearing the shirt. How are you going to display that? So think about the fonts that you're going to use for the design and what you're trying to display to the end user, whether that's the person wearing this shirt or the person that is going to be reading the shirt. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please give me a like, thumbs up. If you're trying to start your graphic design journey, in the description below, I linked my Vintage Vibes Studios starter pack. You're gonna get a ton of stuff, text styles, textures, patterns, design information and resources, just to help you get started. I know how difficult it is to try to start this journey with not having any information whatsoever, so I try to compile a bunch of stuff to help you navigate through the noise. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.